Hey guys, how's it going out there today? Hope you guys are doing really well. Here in Japan, we've just reached the end of phase 1 in our lockdown. We're just starting to sort of climb out of this restricted sort of life that we've been living. Fingers crossed that will continue and we'll just glide out of this thing as the summer kind of kicks in. And speaking of the summer, let's talk about this amazing shoe that we're looking at today. It's in a women's Air Force 1. It looks like a white shoe, but turns out it isn't. You'll be looking on the green screen behind me here and you'll be able to see two different shoes. The white one beside a very colourful one. And today what we're going to be doing is taking a look at that shoe, comparing it to the other shoes that have that tearaway feature from recent times. I mean, we're talking the last maybe 18 months. I'm sure there are some from before that time, but we'll focus on the last 18 months and comparing this shoe to those previous shoes, and then also taking a look at the details on this shoe that makes it one of those shoes to watch out for. That's an upcoming release that had been planned for before but was delayed, as many shoes are these days under these situations with the coronavirus playing havoc with the sneaker release dates and things like that. So without further ado, let's get into this video, which is all about the upcoming release of the Nike Air Force 1 Women's Reveal. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 sneaker channel. Tokyo Butter 23 sneaker channel des. Mainichi upsun no de, mainichi mite kudasai. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news and sneaker reviews. And today what we're doing is taking a look at a Nike Air Force 1 women's sneaker. I think it's officially called Reveal, but it's also getting that name out there, Tearaway, that they're calling it as well. So that's a shoe we're looking at today. And of that big long title, Nike Air Force 1 Women's Tearaway Reveal, the one thing I want to quickly focus in on is that women's part. I have reviewed quite a few women's sneakers for the channel. I try and make a point of sort of picking up some women's sneakers when they come around in the rotation, even though I'm clearly not a woman. But I still think I should. I think it's part of the responsibility, shall we say, of a YouTuber to sort of cater for as wide a range as possible. So I include the women's sneakers in the cycle. But every time I do it, I always say that I actually object to the idea of women's sneakers. I think all sneakers should be in full size runs, and just because a sneaker's pink doesn't make it only for women, or a sneaker's blue make it only for men, sort of thing. So for me, that women's thing doesn't need to be there. Let's just bring these guys out in a full size run, but it is there, and I just have to go with that and talk to you about the details on the sneaker and the other sneakers to compare it to from the recent past. So the ones I'm thinking about, there are a few. I think I'm thinking about maybe 4 or 5 sneakers from the recent past that have a very similar motif to this. Now the motif, the main feature of this sneaker is that it's a white sneaker, but you can remove the top, upper, and underneath it reveals, hence the name of the sneaker, a different upper and a different color sneaker. So the sneakers that I'm thinking about that kind of compares to, that have preceded this sneaker before this one came along, first and foremost was a couple of Black History Month sneakers. There was an Air Force 1. Hopefully it'll be up on the screen behind me here and you'll see, somehow I'll show you the toe box, and I'm pretty sure these came with a silver toe box, and you somehow had to get that off there to reveal underneath. Or was it the opposite way around? Maybe it was a coloured toe box and you ripped it off to reveal the silver underneath. I think it was that way around. So that was the Air Force 1 Black History Month, and then there was an Air Max, I think it was a 95, and again there's that rip effect where you get off the upper fabric, and that rip effect will come into today, and we'll look at that in a minute when we actually look at this sneaker today, and you'll see the kind of effect that comes from taking off the first upper to reveal the second upper. So first and foremost, we've got those Black History Months, 2 of them, and then another sort of a couple of sneakers we'll put together. Let's put clot together, because there have been a few clot sneakers. Now there were the Air Force 1s, and I think I'll put the blue ones up behind me here. There was also a sort of satin rose pair that you could strip away the upper. But more important to me than that, one of my all-time favorite sneakers, which I loved looking at, and it's one of those sneakers that I loved as soon as I saw it, and then when I did the research for the video about it, I was like, oh my god, I absolutely adore this sneaker, was the Air Jordan 1 mid clot, and you could tear away the upper on that and reveal gold below. The thing I really liked about it was you could choose where you tore away the upper, so maybe just the heel cup, for example, or maybe just the toe box, and that's it, and the rest of the sneaker staying intact would still look cool. Whereas what we're looking at today is a sneaker that you kind of really have to rip that upper away on, and if you don't, then you'll be left with a bland sneaker, and also the material that first upper is made of doesn't look particularly durable. It doesn't actually, speak of a great sneaker. Whereas if we go back to those Air Jordan 1 mid clots, you can see if you left that upper on there, it's still still beautiful embroidered sort of effect on the upper. So it's definitely something that we can stick with. Like, you choose how you reveal that sneaker, but the sneaker today, I think we probably have to say you're going to reveal most of it. And then the other one I'm thinking about is a bit of a different sort of motif. Those ones I've shown you already were all about taking off one upper to reveal another, but what we're looking at here is another Air Force One, which is the noise cancelling, and that was more about a shoe that was ready to be customized by you out there. So I think I'm right in saying that the swoosh on the side was removable, so you could remove it and excuse me, and then color the upper the way you wanted to color, and then put the swoosh back on top, and you wouldn't get that sort of effect if the swoosh was stuck on and you tried to color around it. You know, you'd either get some bleed from the midfoot onto the swoosh, or where you couldn't quite get, you know, the line to the swoosh, you'd end up with this sort of, you know, a fuzzy edge, shall we say. So the noise cancellings were different ones. I think they were designed to be customized in terms of adding color, whereas what we're looking at today with these Nike Air Force One women's reveals is that they already have an upper on there that you have to remove to reveal what's underneath. First things first, like I said though, is that you've got to know that when you do this, on this particular sneaker, less so those clots I was talking about, but on this particular sneaker, and I'm reminded of another sneaker just now, but let me just finish this bit, is that this particular sneaker, it's going to be a rough job. I'll show you the swoosh, and you can see on the swoosh they've already started to peel it away and reveal the darker swoosh underneath, but you can see it's going to be very, very difficult to remove that upper in a clean way, and you're going to be left with, similar to those Black History Months, you're going to be left with those jagged edges where it's been ripped away rather than where it's been sort of peeled away. And what I'm thinking about right now is last year, I think it was 2019's Chinese New Year 12s, Air Jordan 12s. Was it last year's or was it this year's? I'm forgetting my years now. I think it was last year's. And you could peel away the panels on the 12s and reveal, you know, a real collage underneath, a black upper that you could peel away to a collage of colors underneath. Very similar to this idea here, the bland upper and then the colors underneath. So yeah, point number one, these guys are going to be rough when you peel them away and look underneath to see what is revealed by taking off that first upper. Then the second point I want to get on to is some detailing on there, and there's two particular places on the upper and one other place that I want to look at the details. Place number one is we want to go on the swoosh, where you can see that those scissors on there, and I think it might even say cut here, which gives you a kind of hint as to where to cut to remove that first layer of the upper. Dig that, I think it's very cool, nice little feature. I'm assuming it's going to disappear if you do cut that first upper off, but it is nice to see those little scissors there. It's kind of a nice little touch, and an equally nice little touch is if you go to the bottom of the lacing system. Also there, I think you'll find a tear here, a little marker just on that little sort of fob that sticks up right at the very bottom of the lacing system there, and again that looks like you pull on that to reveal what's underneath that upper there. So that's two really nice little details on the upper, kind of giving that hint as to what's underneath. Now before we go to, I'm going to go to the third detail, and then we'll come back to the upper, which is on the insole. So we take a look from above going straight down, and it's a bit like the Batman and the Riddler, a bunch of question marks in there, which again I guess goes with the name reveal, you know, what's going to be underneath. Problem is you can already see what's underneath because of videos like this, so the question mark's a little bit redundant, but there's still a unique feature on there on that insole. And like I said, I want to go back to the upper because there's a particular thing about the upper when it's intact that I think is well worth looking at, and I guess what I can do is look at the whole shoe first. So let's look at the whole, say, lateral side, and hopefully if you look really hard what you'll be able to see is that the white upper isn't as solid white as you'd think. A lot of the colour that's underneath sort of bleeds through from that colour underneath, and you get a hint of what the colours are before you've actually peeled away that upper. But then if I zoom in, say, on the midfoot area, hopefully what you'll see behind the swoosh is a bit more of that emphasis on the colour, so you can see that it's not actually a clean white sneaker. There's too much of the colour underneath that kind of seeps through, and that's because the upper material, before you peel away, it looks like some kind of nylon to me. I don't actually know what it is. But I do know it's not leather. I can guarantee that. It's definitely not leather. Something's a little bit more translucent, a little bit more see-through. But what is underneath, if you peel away that upper, I'm going to zoom in on it here and you'll get a close-up look at it, is tumbled leather in just about every point on the upper of that sneaker. So you're talking really high quality and clean, premium finish to these guys, which adds an extra level of texture, an extra level of comfort, with an extra level of class to these shoes. So that tumbled leather there is the final thing to really look at. And then if we pull back out, you'll get that picture that we started with that one white shoe and that one colourful shoe. Not entirely sure that I'm feeling that number of colours on here. We've got yellow, we've got purple, we've got red, we've got teal. There's an awful lot of colours going on in there. It might have been better to go with, let's go back to those Air Jordan 1s. I love them so much. And they're very simple. There's not too much going on. You peel away and there's that gold underneath, and that's it. You don't need anything too much more than that. And then coming back to these guys, there's an awful lot of colour going on under there. And it does look a bit, when you've peeled it away, because of those rough edges and because of the colours they used, it looks a little bit like a child's painting. Sorry, because the lines aren't clean on it and the colours are so sort of in-your-face vibrant. So for me, it's a bit too much of a sneaker, to be honest. I think that kind of hidden element of it could have revealed something with a bit more class, but it's actually a little bit too crass for my liking. But that's not to say it's not going to fly. I think this is a cool sneaker. It's interesting that the date of it has changed. I think they were expected to drop mid-May, and now they're dropping late May. For me, that's an advantage because it gives me a sneaker to talk about, and I didn't have one lined up for today. So it's already getting on for 1 a.m. 1 a.m. on Monday night or Tuesday morning, and this is Tuesday's video, so I better get off and get this thing loaded. So I'm going to do what I do at the end of every single video, which is tell you guys that I really appreciate you checking out my content. I do this every single day, and that means that all of you, every single one of you out there watching this, every one of you will see me, is guaranteed to see me tomorrow.